Hi, folks. This is Mountain Man coming to you from parts unknown. I hope you all can hear me well. I appreciate you all joining me tonight on this cold and stormy night. Well, the storm's pretty much gone by the wayside, but I'm sure a lot of you all are dealing with the effects. So, how's everybody doing? Let me know something. How you all are doing? Hi, Miss Mendersu. Happy Two Bears. Sissy Ann's here. Don Rose here. Mr. Kibler. Nice to see you all. Thank you for joining me tonight. What I've got my title, Trump Directives. He sent out a truth describing the overall situation, not only in Minnesota, but in our nation. And he also sent directives to people in charge of the cities that are not in compliance with federal law. Is it a harbinger of what is to come? And that we all know what that is. Now they have changed. Just want to tell you, they've changed the format on this streaming service I am using. And I had to go through a bunch of jumping jacks, go through hoops, backflips, and everything else. And now I'm staring at a totally foreign screen from what I'm used to. So I might have to take a little time to figure it all out. I don't know. I don't want to hit the wrong buttons. So anyway, just try to get through what's going on. Still snowing in southern New England. Oh, my word. Yes, Todd said hit the high hands, yellow heart, red. Oh, okay. Yeah, hit the thumbs up, too. Ha, ha, ha. Right, Robin? Hit the thumbs up. I would appreciate it. Yes, indeed. Threads, nice to meet you. I'm glad you got to join us. So the big story, of course, is the loss of life of this individual. How is I have see my screen is appearing on Utizzle. It appears to me in the past I had never had to worry about it, but it appears to me to be in landscape mode. Is that how it is showing up on Utizzle? Well, I don't even know how to screw with this service anymore. Hi, Debbie. Nice to see you. Ann's here. Melinda's here. Graybeard. Nice to see you. Miss Mendersu said 5x5. That's good. So anyway, this character, Pretty, lost his life. And, of course, the media is putting out that he was a nurse, a wonderful person. And I have the videos, I have the different angles, I have slow motions, I have this and I have that. But I tell you what, I watch other creators. I won't name any names just yet. I might do a video about one person who said, oh, if that's the case, if they took the gun off of him, then they did execute him. I would do that. I would play that guy's video and then have the video where everybody in the room slaps their heads. You seen that video? Where everybody smacks their heads, smack, back, back. And it's like, what are you saying? That happens so fast. And when your life is on the line, hey, remember the old judge I told you about years ago? How many of you remember the story of the old judge I talked about years ago? He said, you were looking for trouble, and baby, you found it. And he banged the gavel down, and that was the end of that. It was somebody that went somewhere, stirred up trouble, dared somebody to do something, and got their nose spread out. And some dental work. And they tried to sue. So, needless to say, the case got thrown out. But anyway, as I say, he may not have deserved what happened to him, but he sure was asking for it. So, we have these dynamics in play where the state is saying, and the media is participating in insinuating that government is covering something up and that lawless agents are getting away with taking the lives of American citizens. That is what, and that there is a movement to hide evidence or to hide investigation. And they're pulling out, they're trying to pull a rabbit out of their hat by saying, don't believe us, believe your eyes, what you see in the video. You know, when they tell you things that are not true and your eyes play along with the lies. The bottom line is, even if that one officer did remove the gun, within a fraction of a second, there was a discharge. There was a scrum of many people in a pile. And you don't get the benefit of freeze frame in real time. You only have seconds to make a decision. And to quote the great and powerful Andrew Branca, attorney Andrew Branca, it might be awful, but it's lawful. Okay, so yeah, he had every reason to believe that officer, whoever fired the first shot, had every reason to believe that there was danger, imminent danger. What did he have? Nurse stamped on his forehead? I've got video of him directing traffic after being told, everybody's seen it, stay out of the road, stay out of the road, you stay out of the road. Even these recalcitrant officials said for them to stay out of the road and stay on the sidewalks. What is he doing? He's out there directing traffic. So he's a self-appointed traffic director. He's a good person, and everybody else is bad people. Don't you know that? Well, the days of him arguing are over. So who's going to pick up his flag and run with it? Well, we got the usual suspects. AOC, Occasional Cortex, she comes out. And all of the media. One of my recommended videos was a MS Now, formerly MSDNC. Video evidence refutes government's narrative. How so? How so? It looked to me like somebody who was out there fighting with the police, and I'm not going to say ICE anymore. I'm done with that. Law enforcement, federal law enforcement, okay? Because half the time it's ICE, half the time it's Border Patrol, half the time it's Homeland Security. Well, or split it up into thirds or quarters, whatever you want. It's FBI agents, it's the local sheriff department they're fighting with. They're engaged in law enforcement. And Tim Walsh comes out again as bold as brass and says they are not law enforcement. You know, in a perfect world, right when he said that during that press conference, a couple of U.S. Marshals came up and put him in handcuffs for inciting public hostility. And I suspect we're going to be seeing the results of a grand jury concerning the fraud in Minnesota, which is, as Trump pointed out in his truth, that this is what this is all about. All about obfuscating the issue with the massive fraud, because it's going to go down the line. It's going to go down the line. It's so many officials involved. You know, I wanted to discuss the other day, and I didn't get around to it. Amy Klobuchar. How many of you can picture Amy Klobuchar? How many of you know what she is right now? Asking for a friend. let's see. I pontificated, and I want to see response. Hi, Kim, of Debbie, right, top to bottom. How am I guess it's showing. Hi, Gary. Let's go. That's right. I hope you're doing all right. Your challenges have been met. I'll put it that way. I heard from Mike and Bev; they're doing better, and I do appreciate them also for going by buy me coffee. And anybody else that's having any difficulties or challenges, and in this kind of weather, of course, Melinda says she's a corrupt senator. Yes. You see chat, but no mountain man. And I'm here. Don't worry. I'm here. I'm in parts unknown. Threads got it. Yeah, it's a senator. Now, I want to ask you something else. And you don't got to put it in the chat. Just ask yourself these questions. Why would a senator want to run for governor? Why would she come out today, or was it last night or today, when she came out totally against the federal government, which she's a senator, not a state senator, U.S. senator, and advocate for the federal government to vacate her state? Marsha Blackburn done the same thing in Tennessee. Well, you have a lot. Hi, Michelle. You've got a lot. Roland, nice to see you. You've got. That's right, Gary. No challenge, too hard. When you have a governor in control of the state, that or his office is captured, because a lot of governors will come in, they'll be brand new governors, and they'll get all these career bureaucrats that hang out in a governor's mansion like roaches. They hang in afterwards, like Trump got stuck with when he became president the first time. The whole White House was infested with Marxist operatives. So anyway, but if you have control of the office of governor, you control a lot of the shenanigans in that state. You have to have a corrupt governor's office to allow what's been going on in Minnesota for decades. So, yeah, that's what they're trying to do. Preserve. Who do they have if Walsh gets arrested? Who do they have to maintain that corrupt system besides Walsh? There's nobody in the wings. I heard Jesse Ventura, the wrestler, who used to say Minnesota. He was before Al Franken. And I think before Al Franken, was musing or mulling a run, but I think he's too burnt out, too far gone. And Threads, Mike Lindell's going to run, yeah. So anyway, there you could see him circling the wagons and buffering, and I got some 5x5s earlier. That's why I'm not multi-streaming on Rumble. I apologize to my Rumble crowd, but it just, when things are iffy, it's hard to get the punch to get through. Well, Jesse, I don't like him. I don't care for him, but he's not too old. I mean, Donald Trump is 78. a Google account. How you doing? You know, and I tell you what, uh, I got to get something off my mind. I had a friend of mine come and tell me that he got diagnosed with the same thing that Scott Adams got diagnosed with, and he told me that about 2 days before Scott Adams died. So just keep in mind what I said about precious time. I mean, one day he's fine. The next day he goes to the doctor and he gets news, right? So it was, he talked to me, it was about 2 days before. Now, this is important, folks, to me and to you all as we deal with life's problems. And how I thought I made a big mistake when he told me Scott Adams hadn't passed yet. He still had 2 more broadcasts to do. And I didn't mention Scott Adams, but I did say that during my lifetime, I've dealt with people who were diagnosed with stage 4 cancers of different types. And I witnessed 2 miracles. And I told him about those 2 miracles. And I told him about when somebody very close to me had terrible tumors visible through the skin, written off by doctors except for one. They gave him kitchen sink therapy, where they throw everything plus the kitchen sink at you. Everything plus the kitchen sink, because he was young, in his 40s, and a robust physicality. So he survived, and he was recommended to go into hospice, except for this one doctor that took him on. So in another case of stage 4 lung cancer, where somebody, my mother, I told you all that story. So I told my friend this story. He was coming by to make sure I had enough firewood, and which I really appreciated his concern for me, and he's, I've known him for a while. So after I told him these miracle stories, and I told him about the nurse that came in, and I asked them about my friend who was bedridden, and I said, how long does he have? And the nurse looked at me and said, only God knows. Only God. And I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that. And he's living to this day, and this was almost 20 years ago. He lost 200 pounds of tumor weight, which is oh my goodness. It was difficult, and it was painful, and it was something to go through, and awful to go through. And anyway, he's living to this day, and almost 20 years later. So 2 days later, I watched Scott's last broadcast, and none of us knew it would be his last. So the following day, we all found out he had passed hours after his last broadcast. So I felt terrible, because I gave my friend all these hopeful stories. And then shortly thereafter, Scott dies, and he had the same thing Scott had. So I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to say to him. I said, why didn't I keep my mouth shut? Because we all got to go. Okay? I know I'm off topic, but it's important. It's a life lesson. It's not elective. It's not elective. It's a requirement that we all stand before Christ. You can't avoid it. We tell people to find Christ. We tell people to look for Christ. We tell people you're going to see him. Every single one of us. And he'll either know you or he won't. And so I said to myself, that should, I told him, I said, you don't have to look for him. You reach out and he's always there. He'll be right there. So after that conversation and after Scott Adams died, I said, oh my gosh, I should have, worked from the angle preparing him for what we all go through, what we all will go through. Some of us may not get a heads up. Some of us may not get a heads up. Like the proverbial piano falling out of a building, while you're walking down the street. Who knows? And about 2 weeks went by. I see his truck out front. And I said, well, I got to go out here and talk to him, because I gave him all these hopeful stories. And Scott Adams had the President of the United States respond to his plea for additional treatment. He had Robert F. Kennedy respond to him. He had Dr. Oz respond to him. He had millions of people praying for him. And he had to go. So I said, my goodness, I had him, when he walked out of here, he was walking 3 feet off the ground with the stories I told him. He was a much better spirit, and I could tell he was confiding in me, to share the burden of what he was experiencing, to share his cross. And I gave him these big stories. So he was outside, and I came out and I said, hey, how you doing? What was he doing? I didn't ask him for any. He was throwing off wood. He went and got me some wood. And I said, oh, gee, I appreciate that. I came out and just helping him throw the wood off the truck. And I'm organizing my mind what to talk to him about. And he said, yeah, I got some news from the doctor. And I said, oh, you did? He said, yeah. He's his female doctor. She said, well, I got some news for you. And I said, well, is it bad news or good news? And she said, well, you have to figure that out yourself. He said, my PSA, which is your prostate levels and your blood work and stuff like that, was 85 2 weeks ago. And he said, I got my blood work back, and it dropped down to 4. And he got a big smile on his face. And I said, well, that's good news, isn't it? He said, heck, yeah, it's good news. He says, as a matter of fact, they're going to start me on a treatment that they weren't even going to bother giving me. My legs got weak. And he laughed. He said, I couldn't believe it. I read those numbers. I thought it was a mistake. And they're going to put in markers in my body to direct radiation at. Whereas a month earlier, they told me at my age and the stage of the illness that they were just going to manage it. Now they're going to attack it. And I couldn't believe it. So I said, that's wonderful. And then we talked a little bit more, and I let him, effuse about his good news. And I told him, I said, it's wonderful. I said, whichever way your road goes, just remember our destinations are all the same. And I got into the discussion with him about Christ. And I told him, he's got you if you know him, if you live the way he wants you to live, whatever happens, you know that you one day, maybe after me, will meet him. And I said, it's not an elective. And I said, the thing to do is look at the world. And we're standing out there in the grass, the trees, the mountains. And I say, look at this wonderful gift we have, even at this moment, the wonder and the beauty of it. God tells us, light is my burden. Light is the yoke I ask you to carry for me. How simple it is to live in a way that pleases God and enjoy all of his beautiful creation. And we had a good moment where a miracle isn't expected, not expected, hoped for, but not expected. I said the miracle was you even getting to enjoy this gift of life. And we're all going to go in the same place at some point in time. However your ride goes, ups, downs, in a dark tunnel, out in a bright light, whatever happens, just do the best you can and enjoy your life the best you can. So, it comes back to precious time, folks. And we'll have hope tempered with humility, right? Tempered with humility. So, okay, Elva. I'll have to do it sideways next time. Yes, Mountville, we know they're throwing up the Epstein stuff just to stir up garbage. Yes, that's right, Miss Mendersu. Hallelujah. That's right. That's right. We're never alone. Yeah, Scott knew. So the chats are showing up. They should show up below your screen. Oh, I know what she's talking about, Elva. What else talking about? Okay, next time I'll see. They changed the format. How can I change it? I don't think I can change it after I start the stream. So I learned a little lesson with this new format. Hi, Brush. How you doing? So we'll all have our prayers for him and everybody else. None of us want to leave this earth. None of us want to. but we have to recognize the fact that we will. And that's what's so sad about what's going on. People that have thrown their lives away and don't even have the notions in their mind or the understanding like we're expressing amongst ourselves now, that these earthly things are but a blink in time, a blink of God's eye. And so this young person, Mr. Pretty, I've heard people say pretty and pretty. But anyway, he threw his life away. He threw his life away, and Christy Nome said it very well, and so did Pete Hegseth chimed in. Cash Patel chimed in. Greg Bovino chimed in. He was going there looking for trouble. If you claim that federal law enforcement, I'm not going to say ICE, federal law enforcement are Yahtzees, Gestapo, like Tim Walsh claimed they are, that they're kidnappers, unknown masked men, why would you go around them if they're that horrible? And if you think that way and go around them with a firearm, you're behaving in a hostile way. So he was obviously not following the directives of law enforcement. I've seen videos broken down second by second where he does shove an officer, where he does try to inject himself in between the officer and another woman who was also disobeying law enforcement. The purpose of their presence was to impede, obstruct, slow down, harass, aggravate. That is not protest. So, what I think that's going to happen is that will be an edict. If you stalk, if you harangue law enforcement, if you seek them out to inject yourself in an operation, you're going to be under arrest. That's what they need to do. So we know local law enforcement's not going to do it. The answer is the Insurrection Act. And Trump put out some plump and plain directives. Now, I just jumped out of my studio and I'm back into this. I hope my voice didn't break up. So you're right, Debbie. Yeah, that's exactly what needs to happen. And many other things. The right to peaceably assemble and redress their government is what's in the Constitution, not all the nonsense I said earlier. And as I mentioned a couple of years ago, it was about a year ago, about whistles. I said whistles were for emergencies. They were for an alarm, blowing the whistle on somebody. Law enforcement used whistles. And believe me, folks, next time I broadcast, I won't have this screen the way it is. I'll change it. They just changed their layout. But anyway, so even if you're out there blowing whistles, that's a false alarm that is meant to disrupt a scene, an operation. It's meant to be disruptive. But like Don Lemon says, protests are supposed to make people traumatize people. He said that about children. So we got these judges that refuse to arrest somebody. The appellate court said that there was probable cause. Harmeet Dillon, she put out something that said that stay tuned or something like that, that the appellate court said there was probable cause to charge Don Lemon, but they still did not reverse the lower court that refused to allow his arrest. Hi, Joe. Nice to meet you. Okay, well, we have a difference of opinion, Joe, and I hope you stay with the broadcast and we can have a fruitful conversation. So anyway, so Don Lemon was on video seeing children and saying they're going to be traumatized, but that's the point of protesting. And then he entered the church along with this crowd and disrupted a church service, which is a violation of federal law and violation of the well, they call it the KKK statute, you know. So anyway, why isn't he being arrested? So we'll see what happens. I believe he's going to be arrested. I believe there's going to be, you know, you might as well do a lot at once. A lot at once. And I'm talking about, excuse me, Jack Smith, Brennan, Clapper, you know, all the usual suspects. When the grand jury in Florida is finished and hands out indictments, that'd be a good time to go ahead and declare the insurrection. But Trump has given them a chance. I'm just going through the chats real quick. So anyway, what was some of the thing that how's Trump giving them a chance? He put out 2 truths back to back. And I have to go jump out and read them, and then I'll jump back in before my mic gets cut out. Hi, beautiful. How you doing? Yeah, Jack looked like Tales from the Crypt. So anyway, let me see what Trump put out here. During the 4 years of crooked Joe Biden, the Democrat failed leadership. Tens of millions of illegal alien criminals poured into our country, including hundreds of thousands of convicted murderers, rapists, kidnappers, drug dealers, and terrorists. I won the election in a historic landslide, and Republicans won majorities in both House and Senate, in large part because we pledged to seal the border, which we have done, and launched the largest mass deportation of illegal aliens in American history. All right, I'm going to jump back into the studio before I get lost. Let me see. I didn't drop off, did I? Yeah, Joe. Well, listen to the President of the United States here, what he's saying before you, I doubt you've read his truth. And I know the The mainstream media will not repeat it, so at least you're hearing it from here. Because for the next 3 years, what Trump says is going to go, okay? And we have to cope with it as a society. And we cannot be a house divided, because a house divided cannot stand. We're going to go through this together as Americans, okay? The American spirit. Joe, that's such a I've seen that quote so many times from 1984 in the comments. If you're talking about the videos, let me explain something to you, Joe. The house will stand. The house will stand. But anyway, that woman struck that officer with a vehicle after she was ordered out of the vehicle. She went on a little rampage, okay? She was a menace. She was breaking the law, disrupting an okay, Joe, if you're going to type while I'm talking, then I'm going to block you, okay? Because you can't type your stuff in while I'm talking and understand what I'm saying, okay? Because I'm going to tell you two things. Then you can type. I saw with my own eyes her being told to get out of the vehicle, a lawful command from a federal officer. She stepped on the gas, and her car struck that officer, and she lost her life. Within a second of the vehicle striking him was when there was a discharge of a weapon. Within a second. And so that was justified. The media can say what they want to. You are the one that is not believing your eyes, because you watch the video in slow motion, in Technicolor. You hear the impact. You hear the shots. What are we supposed to do when someone is given a lawful order? They're blocking the street with the vehicle. They're told to get out of the vehicle, that we're supposed to just allow them to, whether she brushed by him, ran him over like a cat in the road, or whatever. We can't have that. And this instance, you can clearly see that he was physically resisting multiple officers, and he was Joe, I'm getting ready to boot you. Well, see, Joe, you're not going to be productive for this chat if you can't accept the fact that the officer was struck when you saw it with your own eyes. Are you on drugs, Joe? Okay, well, the video shows, you hear it auditorily, you see it from the other angle. You see him get struck in the right hip, and she was fleeing, okay? She committed a federal crime by interfering with federal law enforcement. She was being placed under arrest through verbal commands, and she fled in a motor vehicle, striking the officer. That is that simple. It's that simple. She violated federal law. She was going to be arrested. She was given verbal commands. She fled the scene. She struck an officer, and she lost her life. Case closed. This guy was told to stay out of the road. He directed traffic. He physically interfered with ICE officers, and he had a weapon on him. And in the fog of war, in the confusion of physical conflict, when people are behaving in a hostile manner with a firearm, there is a video that after this live stream, you all might want to try to look up. And what it is a young man sitting in a car. How many of you have seen this video? How many of you have seen this video? There are two officers, one with body cam on, the other one standing next to the car door, and the kid is sitting the young man is sitting in the car. He's got his leg out of the car, and they're trying to get him to get out, and they're being friendly with him. They're joking around. He's obviously drunk. He's not going to go home tonight, but they're trying to get him out of the car, and he won't get out. I'm just reading the chats. I don't know why you all, why Elva, why are you worried about Joe? I'm telling another story. Let Joe say whatever he wants. Don't read his comments. Now, I was going to talk about this video anyway. The video is disturbing, and it's on YouTube. And I have watched it in slow motion. I've watched it in slow motion, and I still cannot see where he got the firearm. But do you remember that incident where a guy in a vehicle would not get out? Two officers were telling him, come on, get out, man. Somehow he whipped out a gun. The first officer, he shot right between the eyes. And the second one, he chased. You hear the officer screaming. And then he tackled the officer and shot him. In a blink of an eye. It was in the news for a while. How many of you saw that video or remember what happened? How quickly things can turn into a horror, a nightmare. And like I said, the officer's body cam was on that man when he was sitting in his vehicle, and when he started shooting, I have no idea where he produced that weapon from. This guy, they knew he had a weapon. And when you get in a physical confrontation and you are physically resisting arrest, you are interfering with an operation, and you are violent, and God knows what he said prior to the altercation, prior to the interaction. Did he call them Nazis? Did he tell them he wished they would die? Did he tell them he wished their kids would die? You've heard it all from these creatures. If I was in that crowd and I heard the word G-U-N, because that's what you holler when you see a suspect with a weapon. You let your other officers know by shouting out gun. If I was there, I'd have ventilated him because I want to go home. What's his motive? What's his purpose? Why are you there, dressed in combat fatigues, interfering, refusing to obey lawful orders, and then getting in a physical battle with multiple officers, and you're armed? Guess what? You're not going home. And he's not going to go home. And there's nothing. Hi, Mr. Kennedy. If y'all give me a thumbs up, it helps the video get around. I appreciate it. But anyway, you look for trouble, you're going to find it. And like I said at the beginning of the broadcast, he may not have deserved what happened, but he was asking for it. And these officials that have been saying that ICE is not real law enforcement have been calling them Gestapo, have been saying they're masked men kidnapping people. They're all culpable for this loss of life. Every single one of them are culpable on top of the fraud. So see now, so as far as the 1984 comment about not believing your eyes can see an arrogant young liberal with a hostile attitude injecting himself into law enforcement operations, dressed in a manner such as to denote combat or physical resistance with a firearm, and then actively starts to interfere with an operation and gets into a physical combat, hand-to-hand combat with multiple officers, and he expects to live. And believe your eyes. Believe your eyes. So, hi, David. Thank you, Matthew. So, yeah, he lost his life. It's sad. It's terrible. I got to say all that stuff to be a good person. But he was obviously a hostile TDS individual. Came down there looking for trouble. And it is what makes it even sadder. This guy may have popped off a few rounds at a firing range or had some limited training, but they're so unrealistic how they think life goes. How they think life goes. Have you all seen the other angle in slow motion where you saw him grabbing for his hip? It doesn't matter because it was so fast, so compressed, so dangerous. Listen, somebody doesn't have to have a gun to be dangerous. Look at that woman that bit that officer's finger off. Bit it off through the bone. That's called maiming. She maimed him. What is the definition of maiming? To behave in a way or cause something to permanently disfigure somebody. Cause permanent disfigurement. Let me see. Here it is. Wound or injure someone so that part of the body is permanently damaged. That's automatic 10 years in jail, if not more. Where's Joe? What are you going to say about that, Joe? How can you justify people so mentally deranged that they would maim an officer? There's nothing more dangerous than a human bite. A human bite is more dangerous than a dog bite. That's right, Felix. It's to divert from that massive fraud. So anyway, I was getting into Trump's truths. So maim is to wound or injure someone so that part of the body is permanently damaged. There's no other term except what I just said that woman did. She bit right through the bone. I saw. How many of you saw a picture of it? I can't show. It's one of the reasons I went live like I did. I can't show pictures of the shooting. I can't show pictures of the finger getting bit off. I can show a bunch of people out chanting the same crap we've been watching. And enough of it is enough. Enough whistleblowing. Enough stalking agents. Enough harassing agents. It's all illegal. It is not protesting. Not lawful protesting. So anyway, Trump said he got elected to do the largest deportation in history. That's what he got elected to do. He goes on to say, the deportation effort is underway, and in Republican-run cities and states, those operations are going peacefully and smoothly, because local law enforcement officers are allowed to work with their federal counterparts. For example, in the 5 Republican states of Texas, Georgia, Florida, Tennessee, and Louisiana, ICE has arrested 150,245 criminal illegal aliens over the past year, with zero protests, riots, or chaos. Why? Because local police and ICE are cooperating and working Wait a second. Let me make sure I don't fall off. Yeah, Trump's reopening the asylums. Hi, Sue. Okay, so because local police and ICE are cooperating and working together. Meanwhile, Democrat-run sanctuary cities and states are refusing to cooperate with ICE, and they are actually encouraging left-wing agitators to unlawfully obstruct their operations to arrest the worst of the worst people. By doing this, Democrats are putting illegal alien criminals over tax-paying, law-abiding citizens, and they have created dangerous circumstances for everyone involved. Tragically, 2 American citizens have lost their lives as a result of the Democrat-ensued chaos. Democrat-ensued chaos. So he's tied the loss of lives to the Democrat actions of the Democrats. Hi, Rob. We're Jogo. We don't want to lose Joe as a friend. I wanted to ask, what is wrong with Donald Trump protecting American citizens from aliens who have come into this country illegally and are committing crimes and stealing our wealth and creating enclaves for foreign governments and cartels to operate out of? Where'd Joe go? Well, he's gone. Maybe he'll come back. Who knows? So anyway, that's one thing that Trump put out. Then he put out his directives. I called them Trump directives in my thumbnail. Trump said, that's why I'm hereby calling on Governor Walz, Mayor Frey, and every Democrat governor and mayor in the United States of America to formally cooperate with the Trump administration to enforce our nation's laws rather than resist and stoke the flames of division, chaos, and violence. So he named specific names, called out the Democrat states, and that's why I put in the thumbnail picture, I will faithfully execute the laws of the United States of America. That is an oath that the President of the United States takes. I will faithfully execute the laws of the United States of America. So Trump is putting them on notice, naming names and territories, because I believe if he invokes the Insurrection Act, he will do it territory by territory. I mentioned how when Abraham Lincoln did the Emancipation Proclamation, he went right down to specific counties and parishes. Okay? It wasn't a blanket emancipation. And he laid out the parameters for what areas, the areas that were not mentioned, would be subject to the same proclamation upon their defeat and the occupation of that territory by the federal government. So, number one, Governor Walsh and Mayor Frey should turn over all criminal illegal aliens that are currently incarcerated in their state prisons and jails to federal authorities, along with all illegal criminals with an active warrant or known criminal history for immediate deportation. That's not unreasonable, is it, folks? That's not unreasonable. Number two, state and local law enforcement must agree to turn over all illegal aliens arrested by local police. I'll repeat that. State and local law enforcement must agree to turn over all illegal aliens arrested by local police. You got somebody that hadn't got their paperwork, you must turn them over. Local police must assist federal law enforcement in apprehending and detaining illegal aliens who are wanted for crimes. Repeat, number three, local police must assist federal law enforcement in apprehending and detaining illegal aliens who are wanted for crimes. Have you heard anything that's unreasonable? Number four, Democrat politicians must partner with the federal government to protect the American citizens in the rapid removal of all criminal illegal aliens in our country. Rapid removal of all criminal aliens in our country. Some Democrats in places like Memphis, Tennessee, or Washington, D.C. have done so, resulting in safer streets for all. So he put in some Democrats that are exempt because they have been cooperating. In addition, I am hereby calling on the United States Congress to immediately pass legislation to end sanctuary cities, which is the root cause of all these problems. American cities should be safe sanctuaries for law-abiding citizens only. Law-abiding American citizens only, not illegal alien criminals who broke our nation's laws. Yeah, Brush, I agree. I wanted to have a discussion about the redundancy of laws when Jim Jordan was proposing some kind of law about this or that. You don't got to be redundant. You can gauge the corruption of a society by the redundancy of its laws. But anyway, he's just trying to codify so this stuff never happens again. All these requests are rooted in common sense and will provide the best possible circumstances to make America great again. The Trump administration is standing by and waiting for any Democrat to do the right thing and work with us in these important matters of making America safe, like it is in all sections of our country where we are together with local leadership participating and involved. Donald Trump, President of the United States. So those are 4 things, 4 directives straight from the Chief Law Enforcement Officer of the United States, who is sworn to uphold and execute to the best of his ability the laws of the United States. So, I'm seeing the T word, treason and sedition. But, you have people that are saying, well, like was being said earlier, hi, Godspeed, how you doing? That are saying, oh, Trump's going to be in a lake of fire. It is so odd to hear people talk that way. It is so odd when the alternative to what Trump is attempting to do is a nation swamped with foreign entities, welfare recipients, criminals, fraudsters, operatives, military-age men, terrorists, cartel members, ticks like on a dog's back by the millions. Why would somebody want that for our country? And I really wish Joe would have stayed with us, because I want to ask him that question. I want to ask him, Joe, are you out there? I'm not going to pick on you, and I did not pick on you. I didn't say call you names. Nobody. I hope nobody called you names. I want to ask you, why would you want the country swamped and inundated with criminals, welfare bums, low IQ cultures, low trust society? They'd steal the pennies off a dead man's eyes. Parasites is a good word, Jerry. Hi, Justin. Why would you want that? I guess you're gone. So you're gone. Oh, it's all right. Come back if you want to, Joe. Nobody's going to say anything mean or call you names or nothing like that. Pete Hegseth put out after this person lost his life like a fool, like I was saying, his training, his understanding of the lethality and the speed in situations like, and I'll call them combat. You're in physical combat. I mean, like 2 guys getting in a fight in a hardware store parking lot. That is, the law calls that mutual combat. Okay, when you're in a situation like that, and the only difference between who goes home and who goes to sleep forever is who can draw the fastest, who can squeeze off one quicker. The police are not going to take a chance. They're not going to say, well, you know what? This guy might be a nurse, or he might be a veterinarian, or he might manage the choir. They don't know. They don't know who the hell you are. You're just some scruffy ruffian out there dressed up like what do they call them? Skins you buy in a video game. He got his Temu SWAT outfit on. And I'm sure he looked in the mirror at himself before he left. And I'm sure he polished his weapon up. He bought this high dollar Sig Sauer, which doesn't have a very good reputation for safety, by the way. And if they notice that from the butt of the gun, I don't know if they could, but I'm sure an aficionado would say, man, that's one of them 6 hours that are notorious for going off, if you look at it wrong. So anyway, all that heightens tensions. I wouldn't care if he had a pea shooter or 22 or I wouldn't care. If I knew he had a gun on him and he engaged me in physical combat, I'll be first, okay? I'll be first. I'll worry about what kind of a person he used to be later. And I emphasis on used to be. Because a civilian disobeying my lawful orders and engaging me in physical combat while armed have forfeited their right to safety. My safety comes first. And I'm not being cruel. I would sleep good. I would sleep so good not because I was glad, because I'm thankful that it wasn't me that got it. What are you going to trust this person that is somewhere they have no business being? Goes out of their way to look like some kind of military person or law enforcement person, and goes out and telling people, you can drive through. No, you stop. Traffic directing when they're told to get out of the street has this delusional sense of authority, and they're armed. So anyway, I wouldn't. So anyway, after that episode, Hegseth put out a meme: how to avoid ICE. Don't be here illegally. 1, 2, don't attack ICE officers. 3, obey federal and state laws. And underneath the meme, he says, "Thank God for the patriots of ICE. We have your back 100%." This is from Pete Hegseth. He's in charge of what? The DOW. I used to say DOD out of habit. Department of Defense. No, Department of War. Shame on the leadership of Minnesota and the lunatics in the street. That's from Pete Hegseth. So, I'm at the point, and I think many Americans are at the point. God bless you, Joe, but we're just fed up with you and your attitude. And we're telling you as a friend. You're saying this house will not stand? It's in the chats. That's why I say the internet's forever. You put in the chats, this house will not stand. After I said a house divided cannot stand. So you and your ilk are not looking for comity, for brotherhood, for a mutual understanding and the protection of our country. I wanted to ask Joe, but he's gone. That's why I appreciate you all not calling him names and stuff. He left voluntarily, not anything anybody did do in chats, not anything I said. But I want to ask him, do you think we're on stolen land? I would have liked to know roughly his age or generation. What level of school did you go to? Did the teacher teach you that lie? Because Joe and all the other Joes out there, I had a friend we used to call Uncle Joe. He's one of those friends I saw one day, and 2 days later, he never answered his phone again because he passed away in his sleep. He just turned 62. He got about 6 months worth of social security. Well, very good friend of mine. So anyway, miss you, Joe. Uncle Joe. So anyway, so to all the Joes out there that have been subject to an illegal psychological warfare campaign conducted by people who have taken over our federal programs and federal institutions, such as the Department of Education, you're, in a way, a victim. The people you trust the most, you're supposed to trust the most, like teachers, betrayed you and pumped your head full of radical ideology that does not comport with history. Taught you to be angry at your own nation that's provided a way of life that's superior to any civilization that ever existed on the face of the earth. They taught you to destroy it, to denigrate it. So I would be interested to know if you're out there, Joe, and maybe you are, or you may come back and listen just to see. Why would Donald Trump be thrown in the lake of fire? Judge, lest not ye be judged, my friend. How can a man who is saving millions of lives around the globe by stopping wars, preserving the greatest civilization that humanity has ever seen, and laying the groundwork for even more fantastic events to occur, to alleviate human suffering and increase safety and posterity for millions of human beings, and to lay the groundwork for the American spirit, which is what I've said many times is our greatest export to other nations to emulate. How far we've drifted from a nation that protected its children, not just physically, medically protected them. We kept them. We had inventions to increase their lifespan, to keep them safe from crime, to teach them morals and values that would lead to a happy life. No more are we going to let foreign powers draw us into conflicts. Like I said, with World War II, we lost 400,000 young men. And I said, they never got to vote after they got sent overseas. That's a big part of a vote. 400,000, especially in the 1940s. Never again are we going to send our young men and now women off to die in foreign conflicts. Donald Trump is laying the groundwork to avoid that. Because what are these wars about? Land, power, control, wealth. Land, power, control, wealth. Donald Trump is using his power, his control, his wealth. He's acquiring more land. He's using it to get results he wants. And he doesn't want to hurt people. How many times he said that? He don't want to hurt the people in Greenland. He doesn't want to hurt the people of France with their wine. He said, I don't want to hurt you with tariffs, but what you're doing, I have to do something, just like your father fanned your backside when you did something that was dangerous or could cause you harm in the future. He didn't want to fan your backside, but he did. To protect you from yourself. Oh, yeah, Graybeard, social engineering. Well, I've said it before. I don't want to bore the chats, but many of you all retain it and repeat it, that we did not have this transgender insanity being inculcated in the minds and psyches of preteen and adolescent children until Barack Hussein Obama. Have you heard of him? And judges like, you all know who I'm going to say, right? Merck. Judges like him and these other judges that have to be removed. Because there's one term I wanted to put in my thumbnail, but I didn't have room. Inferred slander. Inferred slander. Some dopey judge put out a ruling that I am ordering the federal government to preserve all the evidence from the Preddy shooting. And all the news services, federal judge orders the government to save all the evidence from the Preddy shooting. They're going to do that anyway. She's inferring a slanderous notion that they have something to hide and supporting the narrative that Joe was putting out, that this guy got murdered for nothing. Bottom line, you get in a physical battle with people, with law enforcement officers, while you're armed with a firearm, you're going to lose your life. Any idiot should know that. Even an idiot should know that. So she's inferring multiple things. She's inferring that something illegal happened. She's supporting the narrative that the officers were acting unlawfully, and she's inferring that the federal government is going to try to cover it up. She's slandering by inference. That judge should have said, I'm dismissing this case because you're not showing me that they've done anything or plan to do anything wrong, or that anything wrong has even happened. It's only a crime scene because Mr. Preddy committed crimes and lost his life. That's why it's a crime scene, not because Mr. Preddy lost his life. Awful, but lawful. It was an awful shooting, as every officer will tell you when they have to take somebody else's life. It's something they got to live with. I remember one officer, an old man was getting a cane out of his car. He thought it was a rifle. The old man didn't live. He fired first. And he came up to the vehicle, and it was a cane. We don't Mount Fuji. We don't pay it. We've been knowing about Epstein for over 10 years. Over 10 years. Listen, if you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe, and you can go through all my past videos. I have done stuff about. I got to be careful because I get taken down on YouTube, and we know that if it wasn't for Trump, Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell would be free to this day. The general public would not know about that island. They would not know about those photos. They would not know about people in the government being involved with Epstein and Maxwell and the cabal. Actually, it's a religious, a satanic group that's involved. Nobody would even know about it. Nobody would know about the temple. Nobody would know about the rituals. Nobody would know about the abuse, the human trafficking, none of it, if it wasn't for Donald J. Trump. So that's what you can tell people, because it's a fact. Trump is the impetus behind the arrest of Epstein and Maxwell, both. That's right, Mark. Trump is the best POTUS. Oh, my goodness. So, anyway, let's see a bunch of other stuff that came out. That's right, Miss Minsu. I heard that, too, about Watergate. The reason they were going into the DNC back in the 1970s was because they had videotapes that they were trying to recover. Oh, I put a link in the chat for Buy Me a Coffee. If anybody wants to help the channel out, I greatly appreciate it. Greatly appreciate it. Mike and Bev helped out. Wayne helped out. I really, really appreciate it. Yeah, Reagan got 49 states in 84. How many did he win in 80? I mean, it was a landslide in 80. Oh, my goodness. Oh. I lost my pen. I hate that. I can't blame the cat. Yeah. Oh, what's your all's bets on the Clintons getting arrested for contempt? What's your bets on Clintons being arrested for contempt? I'm thinking if Trump declares the Insurrection Act, that they'll go ahead with the grand jury indictments of Brennan, Clapper, whoever else is involved in the Russiagate hoax. And maybe Joe was about. But these are the questions I want to ask from people like Joe. You say believe your own eyes. like George Orwell. Well, how about that? It's all proven to be a lie, all proven to be fake. Roland, you came by me a coffee too. Colette and Todd came by me a coffee. I do appreciate it. Nobody. Miss Menderson, putting in boom for coffee. Oh, okay. Clintons will go to Gitmo. Never going to happen, Felix says. Yeah, she won't care. She won't care. She knows what NO means, I'll tell you that. She stayed off counters. That wasn't always the case. Yeah, she used to get on the counter and stick her nose in the frying pan, and if you left a piece of cheese out, she'd eat it, but not anymore. Oh, yeah, we all blame Hillary for Benghazi. There's so many damn crimes, but all you need is one. All you need is one to go ahead and prove. Younger gang, Younger gangs also went by me coffee. I do appreciate that. Yeah, I'm having fun, Gary. I'm having fun. Let's see. I want to. They said Walsh sent out the National Guard. He did that last week, but they're acting like, oh, he's sending out the National Guard because this Petty guy. What did y'all notice about that National Guard? The games they play. These are well thought out propagandists, well thought out psychological warfare operators. They put out the National Guard, and they're putting them all in those green traffic vests. I tell you, I bet you the commandant, the commander of the National Guard in that area is probably PO'd. He's got them handing out coffee. He's got the National Guard with schoolyard crossing plastic vests, all of them, and handing out coffee and donuts to the protesters. Did you all see that? Yeah, Todd put it in there, handing out donuts and coffee to protesters. Yeah, but what's he doing? He's putting a psychological marker with those vests to separate the National Guard from the federal government, to act like they're part of the people which are resisting federal law enforcement. So yeah, you watch Miss Sue, look at videos. They have uniforms. So I guess a governor can force the military to put on that kind of a costume. They wear uniforms, not costumes, Tim Walsh. You go to many of these large organized protests, the people in charge of the protests wear those same damn vests. There you go, Todd, you're right. Clandestine put out, the Dems are already gearing up for a fight over DHS ICE funding while they are engaged in textbook insurrection. At some point, nuking the filibuster will be the only option. The Dems are about to hold the nation hostage as a means to obstruct, derail justice for their treason. All right, he's talking the real words, you know. They are going to shut the government down. And I said that. It was one of their only moves. And people were going, oh, no, they come to an agreement. They're not going to shut the government down. They got to come to an agreement by the 30th. The 30th. I think it's all going to come together. Shutting the government down is, in my opinion, an act of insurrection. They're not doing their duties. They're not faithfully executing the laws of the United States, and they're not performing the function for which they were intended. Trump has said the filibuster is unconstitutional. The way they have constructed it. You can filibuster, but you have to actually stand there and run your mouth. And that's it. You can't just say, well, we'll vote that we can sit on our rear ends and have one person in the building wandering around while the rest of us go on vacation. And that's a filibuster. No, it's not. So they're violating the Constitution. They're depriving us of our representation. So will it be simultaneous? If they shut the government down and refuse to perform their duties? At the same time, you have these states that are in open rebellion, maiming officers and encouraging public hostility towards federal law enforcement, demanding the removal of federal agents enforcing the law. Do that at the same time you compel Congress to come back in. Compel them to come back in. And the ones that refuse to show up, you act like they don't exist. Nuke the filibuster. Arrest the Clintons. Have the indictments unsealed. Maybe the you-know-what will hit the fan. Because you're doing everything according to, by the book. By the book. And they are frustrating, resisting, sabotaging, subverting every step of the way to the point of complete dysfunction. The Smith-Monk Act was reversed by Obama. You mean reinstated. Reinstated. So anyway, Clenstein went on to say the Dems are caught, and their only hope is to delay and obstruct till November, praying they can regain control of Congress so they can continue to obstruct Trump's agenda until 2029, and then create a one-party Democrat state. All this can be avoided by just simply ending the zombie filibuster, passing the SAVE Act, and funding for ICE DHS without a single Democrat vote needed. Exactly right. That's what they did to us on Obamacare. Can fight fire with fire, like Trump said. And he goes on to say, not only is this the right thing to do, it would be irresponsible not to do it. The Dems are trying to destroy this nation from within. They cannot be negotiated with. They must be destroyed. This stopping being about politics, this stopped being about politics long ago. This is war. It's time everyone started acting like it. Well, it's a psyop war. Funny how this sub-zero nighttime temperatures and all this is leading right up to the to a government shutdown and what may very well be martial law. I mean, Insurrection Act. I just cruising through the chats. Yeah, well, we're all on the same page. I don't see anybody representing the other train of thought in this country, which is unfortunately delusional, but we do have them. So anyway, Trump put out a truth. Minnesota is a criminal cover-up of the massive financial fraud that has been going on, and he also thrown down with Canada. Canada. We got some friends from Canada in the chats. So anyway, Carney playing footsies with China is going to cost him out the rear end, cost his country out the rear end, and they'll fold. They'll fold. I think if the Supreme Court doesn't support Trump on tariffs, you know, he should declare the Insurrection Act then. I'm gonna read one more thing from Clandestine, and then I got something to read to you all to keep in the back of your mind. Because wait a minute, Trump isn't the only one that can go on offense. They're going to try something, multiple things. But anyway, Clandestine said, I chuckle when people say Trump is running out of time or not going to finish the job. You think Trump is unaware of what's at stake? Defeat was never an option. The decision to destroy the deep state was made before Trump went down the escalator. We're already committed. There's no turning back now. Either we win here and now, or the Dems will turn this nation into a one-party state, and then it's over. Not just for us, but for the entire world. I concur. He goes on to say, this is not an option. And POTUS will exercise whatever authority he needs in order to save the republic and thus the world. The objective is to do this with as little disruption to civilian life as possible. How many times you heard me say that? But Trump and the U.S. military are prepared to do it the messy way as well. Defeat is not an option. All enemies, foreign and domestic. So what I want to read you all is an article that came out. India. What's India doing? They're rushing to contain deadly Nipah virus outbreak after 5 cases confirmed. This was reported on Russian media. Nipah, Nipah. Remember that. In India, they are trying to contain the outbreak of the Nipah virus, writes The Independent. According to the newspaper, the number of infection cases has risen to 5. Among the infected are doctors and nurses. So when we start seeing that on CNN or any of these others, Nipah, get your antennas up. The Nipah virus is considered a particularly dangerous infection. It is transmitted from animals to humans and can also be spread through close contact between people. In India, the main natural source of the virus is bats. There are no vaccines to prevent infection and no medications to treat it. So, like I said, they can fight back, and they will, even though they've already gone down that route, the virus route, shutting down the entire world. That's right, bats again. Monkeypox. That wasn't enough to scare people. That was a GAY centric illness. And just like AIDS was. AIDS. People didn't freak out about that. Well, God, I got so many articles where they're just talking about this guy like he's a saint. This guy who bought the farm. But anyway, folks, I'll be going live again tomorrow night. We'll see how it goes. I hope you all got through the storm okay. Everybody out there. Maybe we'll see him get it too, Graybeard. Because if something's going to happen before the midterms, we have to have enough time to process it. For the American people to digest it. And it's got to be expansive. I won't say complete. But it's got to be expansive. I mean, we've got so much criminality right in front of everybody's face. So that's why I'm thinking the timing will be with these indictments in Florida, the contempt charges in Congress, the criminal referrals, like with Rand Paul made 2 years ago. With Dr. Ouchie, there's a criminal referral out on him. There's a lot of FBI investigations. Kash Patel fired a bunch of top agents the other day, the day before yesterday. He fired a bunch of high-ranking FBI agents that were involved in the J6 crap. Okay? We've got so many different things. And it's got to be done where, the American people have time to make sense of it. And we basically decapitate at least the domestic arm, the domestic operators in our country of the cabal. So anyway, what do I always say? I say thank you for spending your precious time with me. And I really do appreciate it. I get to babble about stuff that's going on. And, maybe we can reach a real Joe if that was a false Joe. He's asked for a different judge. Well, good luck to him. But anyway, and because that's the point, folks, that's the point. We got to come together and get people to think a little deeper about themselves and about this country. So anyway, folks, I hope you all have a great night. I appreciate you spending your precious time with me. I should be going live tomorrow night. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. I have got 800 plus videos on YouTube, a total of probably 1,200 over on Rumble. So a lot of stuff you can go through to refresh your memory, or even just have something to listen to while you do your busy work. So anyway, folks, I hope you all have a great night. I'll be seeing you soon. This is Mountain Man, over and out.